We're live. Welcome to the Virtual Real Estate Investing Podcast. Super pumped for today's guest. Frank, how you doing, man?
Doing awesome, man. Got a great guest. Super excited. I got out in the sun today, so I'm feeling good.
All right. So Mr. Nick Perry, let me give you a quick intro, and then I'll hand you over the mic, sir. Everyone finds different inspirations in this industry, right? Like you YouTube wholesaling, you YouTube how to get started in real estate investing. And I saw a bunch of people, but you were one of the first people I saw that was like, you can do this virtually anywhere in the country. And I immediately had a light bulb go off that like, man, if this dude can do it virtually all over the country, maybe we can too. So tell us all about yourself, Nick. Tell us about Want to Sell Now. What are you up to, man?
Yeah, man, blessed to be on. Thank you so much for having me. You hit it right on the head. So I started doing this in my own backyard like most people do. And I live in Austin, Texas. So here in Austin, it's not a very wholesale friendly market. Like the people that kill it here are your real estate developers, your big commercial people. But for your fiction flippers and wholesalers, you're spending, $8,000 to $10,000 to get a deal here. Your average assignment fee is 12 to 15 grand. So your margins are very slim. I beat my head against the wall for 2 or 3 years here. And finally I was like, you know what, I need to start exploring other markets. So I was going to San Antonio, Houston, kind of your natural evolution. Like, well, let me go to the next closest city. Right. And I was putting a lot of miles on my car. I was staying in hotels to lock up deals, and I started realizing like, hey, this is not really scalable. And at the same time, from like the SEO I was doing, I was having leads come in from all over the country. And if they were from a different state, it wasn't like in Texas in my own backyard, I would just basically throw them out. I didn't have time for them. So I remember one day we were like, you know what, let's take a crack at one of these leads and see what happens. And, we started calling some of the out-of-state leads that in places we never heard of. And before you knew it, I think our first deal out of state, completely virtual, was like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Brandon got the contract. I worked like crazy and I found a buyer and we made 12K, and that was like proof of concept. And then right after that, Ohio. And then next thing you know, we just kind of been going like that ever since. So, it's a lot harder than what I just made it seem like. There's been a lot of processes and improvements and refinements to do it at scale like we do. I mean, we process anywhere from 40 to 60 deals a month, closed and funded. We'll do, anywhere from 25 up to 40 deals a month. So, we've been blessed to, have a really good team that is everybody's in the same boat rowing in the same direction.
It seems like you guys went from one city or maybe two cities, and then it seems like then it was like 100, right? Like it was like America. The entire
it was
country.
America, yeah. Because I was like, well, hey, what's the difference? If I'm not going to these properties anyway, right? Then why am I geographically limiting myself? Right. And I basically just dove in head first, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to figure this out. And I put it all on the line to figure it out, so that failure wasn't an option. And I just continue to refine my processes until we got it dialed into where we're at now.
So at that point in time, were you guys doing mostly inbound marketing? Is that kind of what led you down that path?
I've always been an inbound marketing kind of guy. I mean, my first deal I got from like direct mail. I've got deals from everything, and I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on pretty much any marketing channel that you could ever think of. But my bread and butter has always been online advertising. I worked at Indeed selling online advertising, pay-per-click. So I understand, how to do, different digital marketing strategies. And that's, been a huge life skill for me. But I would say, the PPC and online marketing has been a game changer for us. That's where we get right now. We don't do anything else. So that's all we do.
Nice. As you think about PPC, there could be a risk of the iBuyer coming in, driving up prices, or, real estate agents drive up prices. How do you feel like you can keep a competitive advantage over that market?
Yeah, I mean, so we're well-versed in multiple different strategies. So we're not just wholesaling. We'll do sub-2, we'll do novations, we'll do listings. So we've got multiple different exit strategies to be able to serve the sellers when they're calling us. And then additionally, like, we're training like a professional sports team. We're, doing trainings 3 to 4 times a week, sharpening the saw every single day. So that's imperative. I don't think the iBuyers are really doing that, right? We're figuring out how can we eliminate friction points in every single piece of the business, and we're very serious about that. So just dedicating to continual and never-ending improvement, individually as a company, has kept us competitive and on top for a while.
I love that. I want to talk about scale some, right? So like, is Want to Sell Now on a path to be an iBuyer, right? Or also like the scale of how do you go from a 1-person operation to a 3-person operation to a 10-person operation? And then are you a steady state or does it continue?
Yeah. So in terms of being an iBuyer, I don't really see that on the roadmap. It could change. Like if somebody came along and a hedge fund was like, "Hey, let's back you," I might, take a look at the numbers, and that could happen. Yeah, it's the power in networking in this industry. You never know who you're going to meet and how things are going to take a turn. But right now we're laser focused on what we're doing. Yeah, and so in terms of being able to build a successful organization, and going from like 1 to 10 people, it's one perfect brick at a time. So I've done it the other way where I was like, all right, let's just start adding bodies and let's get this thing really cranked up. But what ends up happening is if you try to scale too fast, you'll redline your expenses and you could run yourself out of business pretty quick. And so I spent months, with extremely high overhead, very low profit margin, and I had to pull the reins back in, humble myself, and just start laying one perfect brick at a time. And that's really what it takes, because there's a lot of moving pieces in this business, and if you get sloppy with it, you'll end up losing everything.
It's funny. We were talking about why people don't scale yesterday, and my answer was like delayed gratification. It's easier to make 200 grand or 300 grand as a solopreneur doing 20 deals than it is to build a system that does millions of dollars, right? Because those people you add to your organization, that revenue that follows them is a lagging indicator, right? It lags behind, right? But my question to you is, like, how long did that lag take, right? Like how many months or years did you have to do this until you were able to like pay Nick, a salary that felt really, really good?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I didn't really feel like I was starting to see like real money until like a couple years ago. And I just kept delaying gratification, putting everything back into the company, living way below my means. And I would see like all my friends, that were my peers in the industry, driving Lambos and everything. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep, I'm not going to upgrade my lifestyle. I'm not going to upgrade my cars. And like, I've got nice stuff now, but it's, I put that off for a long, long time, because as you're growing a company, like I want to be in this for the long run. I'm not, just trying to go make a quick buck and then, have a janky company. I want to make this a career and be in this for the long haul.
So then I love that, right? You're clearly ahead of us, right? And we're climbing, but there's that fear I have that if you reach a steady state, do you lose an edge a little bit, right? Like, do you lose a certain amount of hustle if you're like, okay, we're going to keep growing, but this is our team? How have you thought about that and made sure your team is still out there getting after it?
We're never in a steady state. I always have a chip on my shoulder, and so does Brandon, who runs the company, and we're continually pushing forward. How can we get better? How can we grow? Not only top line revenue, but profits. What's the next step? Where are we going as a company? So right now, we've got a scaled out team, but and people, we're esteemed in this industry. But to me, I don't feel like we've done shit. Like, we're just getting started, right? I still have that mindset like I was in my 1-bedroom apartment, hustling until 4 o'clock in the morning. That's still the mindset that I carry every single day, because I know how fast it could be taken away, and also I've got a lot bigger dreams for myself. This is not like I arrived. I don't feel like that for a second. I still see us being able to 5-10x just in the wholesaling operation from where we are right now. And then on top of that, we're already starting a commercial division. So we've partnered up with a land development team that are actually one of their reps are going to be working in our office, which is a much larger deal size. They don't have the sales and marketing ability like we do. So they're going to JV with us 50-50 on land development deals that are average $3 million deals. So we're going to be dedicating time and resources to going into larger asset classes and being able to, level up that way. And so that's just the short term too. I own multiple other companies outside of real estate. I own a trucking company. I own an e-commerce company. I sit on the board of advisors for a couple of software, like IT companies. And then, I also have a mastermind as well with other high-level entrepreneurs that I run.
And then I was gonna ask you, well, what's next? And you kind of answered it. At what point did you feel comfortable with your core business to start these other 5 businesses? Has this been something you've always been doing, or just recently picked up over the last 2 to 3 years?
No, recently, probably over the last year and a half. I didn't start going in dabbling into anything else until I had this rock solid, till my team was rock solid, till I didn't need to be there. So, don't make that mistake as an entrepreneur. Like, okay, yeah, it's kind of going okay here, but I'm going to try to start this other business. You'll end up crashing and burning. So in my opinion, I think you need to, master one thing and then move on to the next. The human brain wasn't really made to multitask. So, stay laser focused until it's okay to be able to, you have the bandwidth to be able to go into something else.
When did you know? Did you have a moment where you're like, yeah, now it's time. Now I can go do this other thing. When did it hit you?
Yeah, I mean, so Brandon, he's been with me for over 5 years. He's climbed every rank in this company, and he was when I stepped away, he was COO, and I would be able to go, on vacation or take extended time off, and I would, I'm constantly always trying to learn and evolve, right? So the next thing I got into was trucking. I went out, took another course, just like a lot of people do when they get into wholesaling, right? I got into another mastermind that was completely, unrelated to real estate. I learned how to be a trucking fleet owner, and I got my MC and my DOT number, and then I started going buying trucks. And I had the bandwidth to do that because, Brandon was there taking care of the day-to-day operations. And then, my conversations basically with him were like, how much money do we have coming in on the real estate business? So I don't have a lot of involvement on the day-to-day. I'm actually moving to Miami at the end of this month. I've got a nice 5-bedroom house there. We're moving down there because it's time for me to get out of my comfort zone again and move on to bigger and better things. I've been in Austin for 7 years, and I'm ready to be a little fish in a big pond again.
Excellent. So since you've been active over the last seven years and crushing it over the last couple, how have you seen this space evolve? The off-market, discount, single-family, mostly real estate space. How has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, it's been it's evolved. When I first started, you're getting your direct mail work great. You're getting a 3 to 5% response rate on direct mail campaigns. We were locking up deals on bandit signs. The marketing always changes is what I've noticed. There's always a wave, right? For a while it's going to be direct mail, and then it's going to be PPC, and then it's going to be cold calling, and then texting. So you got to stay on top and ahead of the curve, which is why, I've always been a big proponent of education. I'm always going to masterminds to stay on the bleeding edge of what's going on in the industry and try. And I'm always down to try new things and see if it works.
So I had a question. There's other peers that we have in the industry that they get really, really, really big and they start changing the model of their company. Some people think I'm going to start a fund. Some people say I'm going to start franchising. How do you look at other people in the industry and how they've evolved the actual company over time? And how do you see yourself? Are you guys trying to change the model, or are you guys going to stick to what you're currently doing?
I mean, we stick with what works. I mean, the real estate company provides a ton of income for me and my family to be able to go out and start other ventures, get a big house in Miami, things like that. And I'm not going to fix something if it's not broken, right? So this is what got me here. So why would I go out and change it? But I don't really look at what other people are doing. I can only control what I can control. And so I come into work and try to be a better me than yesterday. So, yeah, I'm not really looking around trying to figure out, looking at what other people are doing.
Nice. Who was some of your early on inspiration? And then can you talk through some, maybe the first coaching or masterminds that you got involved in?
Yeah. So, when I moved to Austin, Texas, I didn't have anything to my name. I moved here, no friends, no connections, basically just started learning real estate, watching YouTube videos like a lot of people do. And I, fumbled around for about a year, and I was, having a really tough time. I didn't get my first deal took me 11 months and 104 appointments. And I realized, like, you know what, if I'm going to make this work, because I wasn't going to give up. There's no quit in me at all. So I was like, I'm going to make this shit work, whatever it takes. So I remember, I signed up for the Flip to Freedom Academy with Sean Terry. And then I was like, I'm going all in. I'm going to go to his 2-day event. And I went right into the mastermind. And that was probably the best thing I ever did, because that's when I really started treating it like a business and getting traction, was when I plugged into, mentorship. Sean Terry was a guy that I could say, like, probably helped me more than anybody in this industry. Yeah, he got me out of my corporate 9-to-5 job, really got me up on my feet. And he's still a very close friend, to this day. I was texting with him earlier today. He's been a huge inspiration in my life, and he's like the godfather of wholesaling.
You mentioned dropping the 9-to-5. I recently dropped mine too.
Congrats.
How long did you wait? Like, how long did you have to keep the side hustle going before you were like, F this, man? Like, I'm going all in. Like, how long did that take you?
I started in 2014, like March of 2014, doing real estate. And I was, didn't have a job. And so I was like, I need to get a job if I want to keep this dream alive. And so I got the corporate job at Indeed, crushed it there. And outside of, my work hours, I was doing all my real estate. But it took me 2.5. I didn't quit until the end of 2016 or early 2017. So I was there for 3 years. I could have been done sooner, but I lost all my possessions. I lost everything in 2016. And so it took me like 6 months to bounce back from losing all my stuff.
When you say you lose your stuff, I'm sorry. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I was dating this girl here in Texas. Yeah, I was dating her for like 11 months or so, and I had her doing like acquisitions for me when I was working at Indeed. She's answering the phones. We were doing good. I was doing deals. I was making like $250,000 at Indeed. I had a high rise downtown. We're balling. We got new cars, new furniture, the whole nine. And I just didn't really want to settle in that relationship. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna end this relationship. And I went to go end it. And I was like, you got till Friday, just leave, just get all your stuff and do what you got to do. I gave her $12,000. I was like, here's $12,000. Just do what you got to do, and have a nice life, basically. And 2 days later, I'm walking down. I'm going on my lunch break. I'm walking through downtown Austin. This guy comes over. He's like, "Hey, are you Nick Perry?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "You've been served." I was like, "Served for what?" And I'll pull these documents out, and I'm like, "What the fuck? The divorce papers?" So, like in Texas, if a girl lives with you, it doesn't matter what period of time. If you've got her on any documents, if they get mail there, you could be what's called common law. And she was very smart. She had an attorney in the family working pro bono to take my ass down. So basically, ended up having to go through a formal divorce and lost my place. I lost I couldn't even get my clothes. I had to call my boy and be like, "Hey, man, can we go to Walmart so I can get like a toothbrush? That way I can restart my life. I need a toothbrush and a cell phone charger." I didn't have shit. I didn't have my cars or anything. And they were like, they put a like whole thing that I couldn't get anything until after the proceedings. So I literally had nothing, right? I lost all my shit, but I was just, it really didn't get me down. It just sucked. I was like, man, now I got to build back up. So
that is an insane story. I've never heard that before from anyone. If I were you, I would do outbound marketing and I would only direct it at her.
Oh, I know.
I had 12 cold callers, and I would find out where she lived, not just be calling that cell phone all day. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm over it. I got too much shit going on to be like holding grudges and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it was brutal. I had to, basically just keep going, and my bank account got decimated, and through the whole thing, and the lawyers, and the splitting up the accounts and stuff. So.
And you quit your job right around. Was it just before that, or actually?
No, I was about to quit. I was this close to quitting. I didn't see that happening. Life can turn on a dime and things can come out of left field. And so this was like in the summer, and I was just about to quit. And then it was like summer of 16, and I got wiped out in the summer of 16. And then I worked my ass off for like another 6 months, and then I left because I was already doing deals. I just kept going on appointments, kept going and crushing it at my job. And it just took a little bit longer than I wanted to. I had to stay like an extra 6 months to get my shit back together.
I like it. Our three company values are character, hustle, and grit. And some part of that story probably encompasses every one of those three values. Definitely the grit to stay strong and come out the other side. Let's go back to the second question I'm going to ask you is I want to hear all about the 7-figure wholesaling cartel. But my first question is, our podcast is virtual real estate investing. What is it, right? Like, can you give us a big 30,000 foot view of how your business actually operates, how you're able to find a deal in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and sell it having never been there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a visual person, but I'll walk you guys through my office. My guys are in an acquisitions training right now, so it's kind of quiet out there, but I'll show you what my office looks like. That way you can get like an idea of, how everything flows together. So, we do, ton of money in digital advertising, and then the leads come in here to my acquisitions department. All my app guys are in training in the conference room right now, but we've got our junior acquisitions over here, and then this is all of our seniors over here. So the juniors are live transferring everything over to the seniors to close the deal, and then once the deals are under contract, they get live transferred in here to our dispositions department. And so they're the ones that are talking to the realtors and the cash buyers and getting the properties assigned, making sure the title goes well, and getting the money in the bank. So that's the 30,000 foot view of it. Obviously, there's a lot of intricacies that make it all flow properly together. But essentially, we're an inside sales organization, right? I come from inside sales, so I treat this just like an inside sales team. To me, like, the houses are just the widget. If we had to go selling insurance tomorrow, I just switch the marketing and give them some different scripts, and we could do whatever. So we've designed a sales company.
I love that. And are you guys assigning all or almost all the deals that you guys put under contract?
We flip nationwide too. So like, we're doing a flip in Phoenix right now. We got 2 flips in Dallas, but we cherry pick, our flips on what we're going to flip. But the majority of what we do is assignments. So it's got to be the right deal. It's got to fit all of our boxes for us to flip it, but we'll flip it too.
Yeah, we're very similar. I got it. We're very similar. And we use a rule of thumb of, we never want to do a flip that we can't make at least 20 grand. And we want to have 3x the wholesale fee in order for us projected, right, on the flip. For us to do it. But we struggle with that. We're like, should it be 3x? Should it be 3.5? Should it be 2.5? So I'm curious, like, how do you guys know? Like, how do you guys decide?
Yeah, ours is very similar. Yeah, we want to make at least 25,000. And then we're looking at also the opportunity cost as well, because you have a lot of capital outlay and risk in doing that. So it's case by case, but it's similar to what your guys is I want to make at least 3x of what we're going to make on a wholesale fee, but $25,000 is the minimum. Like, if we're making less than 30, I'm like, nah, we're not doing that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about markets? How do you analyze the different markets? I know you're nationwide, but are you looking, as you look at your budget, are you looking at PPC costs? Are you looking at appreciation, percent seller of absentee owners? How do you look at that?
Well, I don't break my marketing budget up into certain markets or anything. I literally blanket the entire United States. But when we're evaluating certain markets, we're looking a lot at the for sale and the sold data, because we want to see how hot a market is, right? You'd be surprised. There's a lot of these like podunk towns that nobody's ever heard of, but they're on fire, right? And we've done some huge spreads in towns that nobody's heard of, just because we took an extra minute to look at what's the average days on market. How many we'll go on when we're looking at it on Zillow. We'll actually go to the for sales and we'll be like, okay, how many saves did it have? How many days has it been on? And that gives us a pulse on how hot that market is.
I love that, because it's when I first got into wholesaling, I didn't realize like how actually efficient or how much the secondary market follows the primary market. I'm actually, in the current craziness that is 2021 real estate, I'm actually starting to believe the secondary market is more efficient and more.
Everyone wants to plug it out in these major MSAs, Houston and Phoenix and Tampa. And I'm like, y'all can have it. I mean, I'll stay, we'll keep picking up deals in Independence, Kansas and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and, and make all of our money,
Yeah, it's all about deal flow, leads, right?
Exactly.
And it's just different. You can't pick up things at 100% retail and expect it to go over retail like in Austin. You just can't bank that,
Right.
So I was gonna ask you a more personal question regarding like education and stuff. Like who are you following? Who are you reading right now? Like what books do you got? And when you have time for yourself, like what podcasts are you tuning into?
Yeah, like right now, like I just got back from the gym a little while ago. I was listening to Andy Frisella's podcast. I don't know if you heard him, his Real AF podcast. That's one of my favorites. I'm listening to, Grant Cardone's always been good. I listen to his stuff every now and then. But I like Dan Pena too. He's got some good content out there. I'm always studying the greats. We're even here in our office, we do a training called School of Greatness, and I'll profile one person that week that's made it to a pinnacle of success. So it could be an actor, a politician, or somebody that's a rapper. It doesn't matter. Like last week we did P. Diddy, and we broke down his top 10 rules to success. So we're always studying the great ones to figure out, what are the common denominators of success? And what I've found through, a long time of the entire team doing it, you look at Conor McGregor, you look at any of these top athletes, entrepreneurs, whatever, the common denominator is they've got this huge vision in their mind. And even though they might be starting for nothing, they keep that vision in their mind, and they're almost delusional into a sense. Right? Mm-hmm. They believe it so much and they're so delusional, and this is what it's going to be. I'm going to be UFC champion or whatever. And they continue to walk towards that every single day, despite the adversity. And they keep their head in the clouds, but they keep charging forward every single day. And I've noticed that, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, you name it, anybody that's done that, I've seen that be a major key to like success. So,
well, what do you tell your team? Like what's your vision then? Like what's Nick's vision? Like how big does it have to go?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm only 32, so I want to be a billionaire in my lifetime, and I've got a plan to do it, and I believe I can. I'm going to hit it. So, I was just going to keep leveling up, right? Like you start small. I got a little real estate wholesaling operation. Next thing you know, I got a big commercial operation going. Then I got a large trucking company going. I've got an e-commerce empire going, right? You sell a couple companies, level up, put it into, bigger assets. You keep doing that and working hard every single day. You end up getting somewhere after 5-10 years. So,
yeah, I love that you have a massive goal. Like some people probably would hear someone say they want to be a billionaire, and they're like, that's crazy, right? Because it's so rare. But when you think about it, there's probably a billionaire out there that's kind of an idiot,
Oh, yeah.
A billionaire out there that's less talented than the people on this call, There's someone.
Yeah, they just take big bets, You're not going to ever be a billionaire by making $1,000 bets. The only way you're going to be a billionaire is if you're making multi-million-dollar bets into the market, trying to get a large return. So, right now, I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollar bets. Then I'm ready to start making $1 million bets, and then eventually start making, $1 billion moves. So it's just levels. You just got to keep going.
Love it.
Nice. So recently, it looks like you started the Mastermind, right? So you clearly got it going with your team. You guys are rocking and rolling. And you said, "Hey, let's open the doors some. Let's try to teach some other people some of this goodness." Can you tell us all about that?
Yeah. So I had put off doing it for a long time, but me and Brandon were both, getting to the point where we're doing a lot of one-on-ones. Other entrepreneurs wanted help, and we're like, you know what? Let's just lay this out and really do this right. If we're going to start helping people, let's make it legit and let's go all in on it. So we created the 7-figure cartel. It's for already existing real estate entrepreneurs that are basically looking to break through that barrier to actually start seeing that lifestyle money. I think a lot of people get stuck in what I call wholesaling purgatory. The 1 to 8 deals a month. Maybe you have a great month and then you're inconsistent and now you got 2 deals closing this month, and you can get trapped there and you really don't start seeing like your bank account like jumping up and having like the Lambo money until you start consistently closing like 20 deals a month. And it took me a long time to get there. I really struggled kind of in that wholesaling purgatory. And now that I'm past that point, in hindsight, I'm like, well, shit, if I would have just done these things, I would have been there way faster, but I didn't have anybody to tell me. So we designed an entire training portal that goes through every single department in our business, broken down, into just step by step on exactly what we're doing. And then in addition to that, it comes with like basically all the documents we're using, all our Excel spreadsheets, and we're doing this every day. So this stuff's getting updated on a continual basis. And my goal was like, I don't want to just sell people a course because I feel like you're just like scammy doing it. Like if I'm going to put out a course, I'm going to make sure that everybody that goes through there that applies themselves absolutely succeeds. So we put a bi-weekly mastermind component onto it where we're holding the members, every member that comes in there, we're holding them accountable to certain action items every 2 weeks. So they get on Zoom just like we are right now. And your guys might be like, hey, I'm stuck. We're really like, struggling. We got too much going on in this, but I'd be like, okay, John, you guys need to get a dispositions. Here's your job ad. By the next time we talk in 2 weeks, I want you to already have like 5 conducted interviews, and I want us to be at least picking one of those candidates, right? And I'm holding you accountable to whatever your hang up is, because it can be done relatively quickly, getting to that 20 plus deals, especially if you're already doing the business. So I love it. I love being able to coach people that are already successful and get them to where they want to go. Yeah, it's been a passion of mine. I've really been enjoying it.
For the people that join and they do get stuck, right? Which is common. Everyone gets stuck, I think, at some point. What do you think is the most common difficulty that they have for the person that's like their first year, maybe their second year?
Yeah, I mean, with like our members, they're getting a lot of results right out of the gate. It's a lot of times just little tweaks like, hey, what your marketing isn't really producing what it needs to. You think you're bringing in enough leads, but you're really not. Or, you need to tweak your marketing campaigns. Like a lot of people come to me for like PPC and stuff. So I teach them how to do PPC. And then, beyond that, it's usually like personnel, right? They're either understaffed or they've got the wrong people. There's a lot of that. And sometimes you just need like a third party, consultant to tell you like, hey man, you need to fire that acquisitions and we need to start from freaking scratch, because it's going to end up costing you probably millions of dollars this year if you don't cut that right now. Right. And, as an entrepreneur, like John, if I told you that and you were accountable to me in a couple of weeks, you're going to cut that guy. Right. But if I don't tell you that, you might let him slide for, another couple of months to see if he can turn it around.
So, no, I like that. What do you think if someone's getting into PPC, what are you recommended for a starting budget?
Yeah. I mean, if it depends on what you're looking to do, but like I said, I'm trying to get everybody up to being able to like closed and funded over 20 deals a month consistently. So, if you're just starting out, $5,000 will get you, going. It'll get you lead flow. It'll get you deals and things like that. But like I said, we'll close anywhere from 25 to 40 deals a month. I only spend like 45, 50,000 on PPC a month. So I used to spend way more than that, but I made some shifts, internally with my personnel that allowed me to reduce my marketing budget. So even at my scale, I'm spending less than 50 grand a month.
That's pretty amazing. But you have so many leads, so you have a decent sized team. Like that's one of the larger wholesaling teams I've seen, which leads me to my question, which is, what is more important, right? And this is kind of a loaded one. The marketing or the sales, right?
Man, they lean on each other like this. It's a teepee. You know what I mean? So if you take off one side of the teepee, it's just not going to stand up. So it doesn't matter. I would rather have really, really cold salespeople over, more leads. I would say if I had to pick one, Frank, it's going to be sales.
Yeah, it's a tough question. Honestly, I've asked that to like 10 people and you get a bunch of different answers because it's impossible to really know for sure. But I agree. I think there's actually a lot of people, because there's a lot of wholesalers right now that are getting decent leads that struggle in the making the offer and closing phase of the process. And I'm not sure if it's nerves or a lack of sales experience, but like what is like the most common struggle you see for the salesperson, right, that enters a wholesaling organization?
Yeah, for them, I mean, internally, just me speaking about my organization, we do this nationwide. So in order to do this properly nationwide, you have to know how to comp property nationwide, which sounds like it wouldn't be a big deal, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's extremely challenging. So we do ARV and comp training every single week with our guys. I don't care if they've been here 3 years, they're still doing ARV and comp training every single week. So that underwriting and comps is probably the hardest part. In terms of sales acumen, I'm only hiring guys that have previous heavy commission or commission only sales experience. So the stakes are too high in this business. You spend too much money on leads to hire an unexperienced salesperson and you try to coach them up and them learn on your dime. That's not fair to you as the business owner. So I make sure that everybody that we're bringing in is at a very high caliber and they're already successful in whatever they were doing before in the past.
So what's the interview process? How does someone get on Nick's team, right? So what gauntlet do you have to put them through?
It's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet. So like we're hiring right now we need 2 more dispo because they're freaking slammed in there. So we have like my sister, she'll do all the recruiting for me. She's in college right now, but she can work a few extra hours a week when I need her to. And so Brandon will just call her and say, hey, we need dispositions. He'll tell her exactly what he's looking for in that candidate and give her the job descriptions. And then Alexa's responsible for posting those Indeed jobs online, making sure we have enough candidate flow. And then once we have candidates coming in, she's sifting and sorting through all those resumes, calling those candidates, people that didn't pick up, she's following up with them until she gets them on the phone. And then she's doing an initial phone screen where she's getting a little bit of background on them, making sure that they kind of check the boxes on what we're looking for. She'll tell them about the role, what the hours are, what the location is, all that red tape. And if it passes, then she'll schedule a Zoom interview with Brandon. And so Brandon will jump on Zoom with them, have a 10, 15-minute interview. And if it goes well, then they're invited into the office for a face-to-face. So they'll actually get to sit down face-to-face with Brandon, spend a little bit more time unpacking their experience and why they would be a good fit for the team. And if that goes well, then we bring them back into our actual office out of the conference room. And we spring a practical interview on them where they actually have to but they have to call sellers and do like a mock phone call. So we say, hey, we put them right in the Shark Tank with all the other killers in here. And we say, hey, here's your script. Here's Podio. Here's how to use the phone. Start dialing. And that's really when you see who you've got, because everybody can talk well in an interview and tell you what you want to hear. But it's not until you actually get somebody doing the actual job that you understand what they're about. Like you'll see people freeze up and like not know what to do. People that you are millennials that can barely use a laptop, right? It's little things like that you try to make sure that, they don't have any trouble with. But if you find somebody that's bold, charismatic, they go in there, they're a hustler, they got a good attitude, and they're having good conversations, they're following the script. Even if they get thrown off track, they readjust real quick. That's what you want to see. And so if they do that and they do well on that, then we sit them down at a cubicle and they'll do their personality assessments, and then we'll send them home. And so we'll check their assessments. And then, after all the assessments from the candidates come back, the final round interview is they come in and they meet me. So when they come in and they meet me, it's a very informal interview. They've already been through a gauntlet at this point. So I'll usually say a few words to them. And usually we tee it up to where we're going out to lunch or coffee or a happy hour, because that's really when you get to understand what somebody's about, when you get them outside of the office. So I think it's very, very important that if you are going to bring somebody on, take them out to lunch, bring them out for a beer, whatever, because you're going to get a different side of them than when they're trying to be all suit and tied up in the office, and you'll just get a more clearer picture of what that person's about.
That's awesome.
That's the last round interview.
Yeah, I feel like when I listen to this recording later, I'm gonna take some notes on that. Have you ever had someone actually close a deal when they're going through the practical?
We did actually. Yeah, we did. Yeah, first call, they ended up getting it, and they didn't know what to offer, but we called them back. 15 minutes later, one of my other guys called them back, and they ended up locking up the contract. So
that's legendary. That the odds of that happening are actually really slim. That's pretty funny.
Right.
That's awesome. It's really cool.
That's beautiful. We had Kyler on, and he said the end of his interview was ping pong, and he said he whooped all you guys in the office. And he says he still does on a daily basis. Can you confirm or deny?
I just kicked his ass yesterday. He likes them.
I like it. Hey, we saw a sneak peek of super cool looking software platform a week or two ago with the 80/20 guys over Dan Schwartz and the Investor Fuse guys. Investor Lift. Tell us what it is, what your involvement is. What do you think it's going to do to our industry?
Yeah, so I was approached about it like about a year ago now. It was like last March or April, and I think there was only like 2 or 3 other people using it. And I demoed it, and then I went on a pilot, like an initial pilot with it. And my guy started using it. We used it mainly for dispositions. And my disposition guy started using it, and it was just like immediate increase in efficiency and productivity and average deal size. Because the way we were dispositioning deals before is we would blast out to thousands of buyers, and our phones would ring like crazy, and it worked. But it was taking, whenever we would blast our property, it would take 3 to 4 hours to do a blast, right? So we weren't able to disposition as many properties. The only way I would be able to be at the position I am now would be I would have had to hire way more people. So what it was really is it saved us a shitload of time, because what you can do is you can zoom into anywhere in the country, and it's got this feature called God mode. So you zoom into anywhere in the country, and it's got all the records of every flip that's ever been done. He's built some proprietary crazy stuff that does that, and it'll give you the LLC, it'll give you the registered agent's name, and it'll give you their phone number. And usually there's like 2 or 3 phone numbers, but they're freaking accurate. Like one's like the guy's cell phone, the other one's like the receptionist, and like one might be his like wife, right? And that's what you get. But you end up getting them, and it takes we've been able to move deals like within a few phone calls, rather than it taking us all day and having to talk to a million people.
Yeah. So that seems like at scale is when you really need to start considering that, right? So
yeah, you can get along like if you're doing like a couple of deals a month, but usually, I mean, like these buyers that it tells you like what they have like buyer scores in there, and it'll tell you what they bought properties at, what they sold them out, how much they made on the deal. So like, hey, all right, this guy, this is what he likes to buy at, this is what he likes to sell at. So it gives you a ton of information to have a lot of leverage in that conversation.
Yeah, targeted. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So it's helpful. I mean, if you're only doing like a deal a month or something, you're probably not ready for it. But if you're getting to the point where you're processing like more than like 4 or 5 deals a month, yeah, I'd say, go do a demo on it for sure.
That's awesome. Well, Nick, I don't know if we have any other questions. John, do you have any other ones that you wanted to ask?
I got a final question for you. On your Instagram, it looks like you got a Model X, Tesla Model X. I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and through Turo, we're renting a Model X for the week, so I can really get a feel for it. Give me some feedback, man. Should I pull the trigger? Is it something to do?
Get it, man. I'm telling you, for long road trips, it's amazing. Like, I'm getting ready to take it to Miami because I got the dogs. I didn't want to fly with the dogs and stuff like that. So we're getting ready to do a 20-hour road trip from Austin to Miami, and I've done it before. It drives itself. So yeah, if you want to get if you're going to be doing a lot of highway driving, it's phenomenal. And then just in terms of like the entertainment and everything, it's got like YouTube, Netflix, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I love it, man. I'll probably be a long-term Tesla owner. Just make sure you map out your superchargers, or you might end up with no battery on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Nick, thanks so much for your time. Very given dude. You've helped us out through this journey. Talked to us really early, gave us some big pointers that's helped us build our business. We appreciate you coming on, and we're probably going to twist your arm and try to get you to come back at some point. Thank you, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, take care, man.